What happened?
I don't know. They pulled the body out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's out of the water?
Yeah. What did I say before? Same street shows no matter what big city you're in. I'm in Brussels right now. There's a casino. And I just went in and I won 10 euro. And I got a free drink. And that's how you play right. You get in, you enjoy your free drink, and you leave, and you don't waste money gambling. All right? Right. So there's a neighborhood in Brussels called Molenbeek, which is particularly notorious. There's right-wing personalities that say it's very dangerous, they've been chased out, people have gotten weapons, and they've warned me about going there. According to Wikipedia, this is a neighborhood that gained attention after it was said to be the base of operations for terrorists who carried out attacks in France and Belgium. And it also goes on to say that the people there are supportive of the actions that were taken. So I guess I'll go check out this neighborhood. I'm gonna walk in and see if the rumors are true, that it really is this dangerous place where I shouldn't go. Because again, I've had people warn me, do not go there because it is really bad. We'll see how it goes. That says death to cops.
Monsieur, vous pouvez pas filmer?
You speak English?
The photo in English. It's not photo.
Oh, sorry.
Bougez de là. Venez ici.
You speak English?
Yes.
Do you see what happened?
I think there was a woman who passed away and died in the water. So they
wow.
got her out of the water.
Oh, wow.
Since
Oh.
5 minutes or so.
She just passed away recently?
I don't know, I just came here and I saw her lying in the water.
Yeah, I was just walking by, the cops started yelling at me.
What happened?
I don't know. They pulled the body out of the water.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's out of the water?
Yeah. So I just walked back out of the neighborhood of Molenbeek, which is this notorious neighborhood. There's a river right here. It's not too, I mean, I think it's bordering the neighborhood. And I saw a ton of police vehicles. Cops started yelling at me right away. I have no idea what's going on. But that blue tent straight ahead is covering a dead woman that was pulled out of the river. So, you know, there's a lot to be said, but for now, I'm going to try and focus on talking to some of the people and figuring out what happened, and then I'll give you my assessment about all of this. $14,000 steps, and my watch is telling me that 40 minutes of that was considered a light workout. Because I basically just walked, I don't know, a couple miles. Not that much, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of misconceptions, but there's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot more context into this place. And look, to be completely honest, this was just me walking around for a couple hours, checking things out. It's not an in-depth investigation, so don't take it as such. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a shower, and then we'll talk about it. Let's go relax for a second. Refreshing. Had a nice quick shower, relaxing, little break. I am in Brussels mostly because the cheapest flight out of Europe back to the States was from here. So the train ride from France to Brussels is only about an hour long, and I end up saving several $100s by taking the train here and then flying back as opposed to flying from Paris. It is what it is, but there's a lot of big cities in Europe. They're all very close together. So here's what I want to say about Brussels and Molenbeek. I just saw a woman get fished out of the river. And I know a lot of people are going to jump to the conclusion that things are bad here. And it is very sad and unfortunate that this woman lost her life. From what some of the witnesses told me, it may have been an older woman. And the reality is it could just simply be a woman who was old, stumbled and fell in the canal and died. I'm from Chicago. We have the Chicago River. These things happen. So while a hell of a coincidence, an unfortunate one, to be walking out of the neighborhood of Molenbeek right when this happened is, yeah, it's a hell of an unfortunate coincidence. It doesn't necessarily mean that anything crazy happened per se. It doesn't mean that this neighborhood is always bad, you know. So we know from news reports that there is a sort of nefarious history in this neighborhood. And I walked around and nothing happened. I was in Sweden and I walked around these neighborhoods and mostly nothing happened. I think first, the important thing is that I'm from the south side of Chicago. So for me to be alarmed or worried about any of the neighborhoods I'm seeing, it's gonna take a lot. You know, I mentioned this earlier, but I had people telling me they were threatened and forced to leave. But the other thing to consider is that, you know, these journalists, commentators, they come in these neighborhoods with big cameras and crews, and they're filming and recording, and that's obtrusive. You go into any impoverished neighborhood, you go into any dangerous neighborhood, or I don't necessarily want to say dangerous, but threatened neighborhood or threatening neighborhood, you bring a big camera and you're a target. You're doing something strange. You know, right now I'm in city center in Brussels, and there's people are staring at me as I'm filming myself and talking to the camera, and that's weird. But it's really weird when you're loud, speaking a different language, and walking through someone's neighborhood down a side street. So what I tried to do is just walk through the neighborhood and see what was going on and try and get a feel for things, but not being obtrusive, right? So this is the same thing that I tried doing in Sweden and in neighborhoods in France as well as Greece. The goal is to kind of just check the neighborhood out without being obtrusive. I'll say it a million times. So, yes, I believe that if I went into those neighborhoods, if I went into Molenbeek with a big camera and a crew and filmed the way, you know, a lot of other people did, it probably would cause trouble. And I also do believe that journalists in you know, Western nations, we have free speech and free press, should be allowed to do it. That doesn't mean this neighborhood is unique in any way. You know, like I said, go to the south side of Chicago, which has been a community, which is, you know, many of these communities have been the way they have been for a long time. Bring a big camera in and you're also, you know, potentially going to get in trouble if you're obtrusive, if you're obnoxious. I'm not trying to say everyone is obnoxious. I'm just saying if you go in there and you're loud and you're, you know, making a scene, you might get called out for it. So I think the big challenge with what we're seeing with migration in Europe, at least so far, and again, let me preface this. This is not a grand, you know, investigation of Brussels by any means. I was here for a few hours waiting for a plane. But what I think the big challenge is, based on everything I've seen, is that failure to work with communities to integrate, failure to integrate migrants creates slums. And slums become bad neighborhoods. They become dangerous, it breeds crime, and that's the real challenge. Yes, we know that Molenbeek had terrorists and that it's particularly dangerous because of this. There's a lot of concern over it. But ultimately, when you look at the day-to-day effects of what's happening with all this migration coming into Europe, is that the governments aren't doing a good enough job. I don't know if they can do it or if they don't want to or whatever the reason is, but it creates poor neighborhoods. and poverty breeds crime, and that's going to impact the people in these cities. It's going to impact the economy. It's not going to be good for anybody. It's not going to be good for the refugees, for the migrants, and for the locals who live there. I don't know what the solution is. I just know that I'm some guy who managed to come down to the city, walk through a neighborhood, and something crazy happened as I was walking out. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this. Click the like button if you like the videos. We'll keep the conversation going as per usual. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TimCast. I am headed back to the United States. So, going to be digging up some more stories, but I'm going to focus a little bit more on the U.S. for a little bit, and then go back out to international. You know, we'll see how things go. If you want to support the work that I do, you can go to patreon.com/TimCast. Give whatever you'd like. Give nothing at all. My videos will always be free and available every day at 4 p.m. And I guess I'll see you then.